qualified nominees, like not maybe the best nominees, but still very good nominees, and are just absolutely ignored. So that's the situation. So Tim Scott, be very interesting, and there's really no other way to describe. Like, we just don't get why. And so Tom Farr, there is actually real reason Scott should have voted against him. Here's a pretty practical one. In January, Republicans will have 2 extra votes in the Senate, meaning Scott can vote no this week as well as on the final vote, and Farr will still likely get nominated. So there's no good reason for him to vote for Farr, because Farr really has a well-documented history of devising plans to disenfranchise black voters. Pretty much, it's segregationists, plain and simple. Why would Scott want a man that placed an incredibly important position in the nation's judicial system, that system that continues to determine just how far the GOP will be allowed to go as it continues to roll back the clock on voting rights? We don't know. And, I mean, if you want black people to vote, like, it's literally just that simple. It's not a question of politics. It's a question of, do you want everyone to vote? And if the answer is no, then the answer is no. But we'll soon be able to find out what Tim Scott wants. So we'll figure that out. So yeah, Farr is now a 64-year-old attorney. He was a senior aide in the 1990 elections campaign of Senator Jesse Helms against black Democrat Harvey Gantt. The campaign famously sent postcards to black residents containing incorrect information about voter qualifications intended to create the impression that African Americans could be arrested if they cast their ballots on Election Day, which is very cool stuff. You know, voter suppression, blatantly voter suppression there. In 2013, Farr was hired by North Carolina's Republican-controlled state legislature to defend a highly controversial voter ID law that critics say was designed to disenfranchise black voters. The Fourth Circuit Court of Appeals panel struck down the law in 2016, concluding it targeted African Americans with almost surgical precision. So yeah, that just gives you the kind of idea about who he is, and that was a really bad situation. All right. We turn now to Tucker Carlson. White supremacists online absolutely adore the Fox News host. Data reported by BuzzFeed shows. The research reveals that Carlson was mentioned on the Daily Stormer more than any other cable pundit in the last 2 years. According to the data, which has been collected by independent researchers who wish to remain anonymous for fear of retaliation. That's actually a good point there. He was featured in a total of 265 articles from 2016 to 2018. By way of comparison, the most rock rape supporter on Fox News, Sean Hannity, was featured in 27 articles in the same time period. Damn. Laura Ingraham had 4. Lou Dobbs just had 2. And that's the price of being Fox Business, I guess. The researchers used subject tags created by the Daily Stormer to categorize topics on its site to arrive at the numbers. BuzzFeed News was able to independently verify the researchers' work by using the same method. Apparently the Andrew Anglin, the Daily Stormer's founder, who's known to be a big personal fan of Tucker Carlson. He's called Carlson's Fox News program basically the Daily Stormer, the show, and has described him literally as our greatest ally. He's literally our greatest ally, you guys. He's going to help us spread the message of white supremacy. Because the thing is, yeah, oftentimes he comes up as a very, reasonable conservative, kind of disagreements, right? But, that is the situation. When you have people like Andrew Anglin calling him the greatest ally, it's very, very disturbing stuff. And it really shows you the truth. And I think this is what we really need to realize, and this is how we should definitely, from the end of time. I don't think anyone hasn't been doing this, but we need to treat Carlson like what he is. He's a racist. It's just that simple. Very, very important thing to realize. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we have a bad take alert. Because the New York Times has been at it again, ladies and gentlemen, and they are getting into some pretty bad takes about the progressive coming into the House, and we're going to be talking about that here also as well. So, yeah, let's see. So this is a taste of the piece here. So by empowering newcomers like Ayanna Pressley of Massachusetts, John Ayers of Connecticut, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez of New York, Ilhan Omar of Minnesota, and Rashid Tlaib of Michigan, Pelosi risks creating a headache for herself down the road. A Democratic version of the House Freedom Caucus, the far-right group that constantly defies Republican leadership, making life difficult for Speaker Paul Ryan. So, again, I love how, literally, the prediction I just made earlier in the show becomes true, right? So we got, again, an incredible amount of just, aggressive media coverage on the left-wing Democratic Party, when the right-wing are the only group who voted against Nancy Pelosi, the only group who actually slowed her down on her way to become House Speaker. She could have gotten votes if it hadn't been for them. And who gets the media coverage? No surprise. No surprise at all. It's actually, I'm just too good at this. No, I'm kidding. So again, I should wonder actually who voted. I'm going to look into that after the show, who actually voted against Nancy Pelosi. With Pelosi in their debt, the potential speaker may be giving voices to their dissatisfaction with mainstream Democrats, emboldening them as tension between their midterm campaigns and party establishment linger. In a closed-door meeting with the incoming freshman, Pelosi walked a fine line, acknowledging that their idealism, integrity, and imagination, while warning some of the fine risks of being intransient, I think is what it is. That's how you say it. That's intransient. That's the word there from the New York Times. There's only one problem, though. The Pelosi giving a giant headache to begin with the people giving Pelosi, again, as I said before, a giant headache to begin with is the Democratic center and right, which has desperately been trying and failing to find someone to run against Nancy Pelosi for Speaker. There has been nothing new at the Democrat at all for really the Democratic right, who's been Pelosi's only two major challengers have been Tim Ryan and Heath Schuller. But when Pelosi was actually Speaker last time, the right-wing Blue Dogs were instrumental in watering down the 2009 stimulus and getting the public option removed, again, from the Affordable Health Care Act. Importantly, they have been making life difficult for Nancy Pelosi, not progressive Democrats. It's just not true. It's not true, okay, people? It is not true. I repeat. That is probably one of the biggest logical fallacies. It's the theme of the show. It's the right-wingers that have been giving Nancy Pelosi the headaches recently. So, the question, why do you compare Ina Presley and John Hayes, the first black women elected to Congress from New England, to the neo-Confederates and incels in the Freedom Caucus? The underlying assumption here is that the political center is what's normal, and the Times even used the dreaded word pragmatic to describe the supposed moderates who are worried about this socialist horde coming in, and that both the Freedom Caucus and the new corporation of progressives, the new crop of progressives, I don't know why I said corporation, taking office next month, are only interested in blowing the system up for the sake of it, if not with similar goals, than by using similar tactics. And it is shocking when you have people coming for 3 straight election cycles now that are elected by the American people that, irrespective of party, really want to blow the system up. I think it tells you one thing. Americans don't like the system. And if you were a smart politician, for example, if I was in Congress since 2002 or something like that, and I see the Tea Party wave happen, I see the new progressive wave happen, I see Donald Trump's election happen, I'm like, American people still want change. They're still not satisfied with what they are getting, and they're not done yet. And I think, at least for the sake of giving the American people, satisfying the American people, we should do something about it. That would be my response as a congressman. Because, if you actually read the signs and you understand really what the American people want, I think it's very clear. That is the idea. It's very much the idea. So, taking in the seniority system that Pelosi used to climb the ranks of the House, Rashida Tlaib pressed the would-be speaker from California to give progressive newcomers coveted seats on powerful committees like Appropriations and Ways and Means, spots usually reserved for veterans. Tlaib, who once said she would probably not vote for Ms. Pelosi, appeared headed to do so when Democrats elected their leaders on Wednesday, one member of a crew of boisterous young liberals who have become shock troops in Pelosi's leadership battle. It's pretty simple. Committee assignments. Not in demand for the passage of big policy like Medicare for All, which have been dead on arrival in the Senate anyway, but significant roles in the process. And for Democratic Party, whose leadership is substantially older than both its base and the incoming rank and file, it's probably a good idea to inject some of that leadership. Like, let's be honest. So it's a pretty important point. A lot of people actually do tend to actually forget about. Yeah. So that is what we know at this time on that situation. Now we're going to go to a little bit of a pretty cool story about something going on with the Proud Boys. The Proud Boys, one of the stranger and more pathetic branches of the alt-right, are having a crisis of leadership because their leader, the proudest man, I guess, proud man, if they're all Proud Boys, Vice Media co-founder Gavin McInnes, has stepped down, departed, and I was arguing with this about someone last night who's like a big Gavin McInnes fan. Who's like, no, he didn't depart. Like, he's departing. Like, I don't know what you want to call it. If he leaves the group, he literally said, quote, he's like, from all relations with the Proud Boys, I quit. And then I get from this guy, oh, he didn't quit. Like, what are you talking about? He quit it. I'm sorry. Like, your proud father is gone. Like, I don't know what to tell you. So it's pretty much the so-called Western chauvinist organization, has really been struggling recently to figure out who's the proud father, as they like to call it, and someone needs to tell them how much they get to masturbate every month. Come on, because they're gonna do it like 5 times a day. They're not under control right now, guys. So we need some help. Official leadership, at least as far as the vaguely administrative wing of the group and its website goes, seems to fall into the Elders chapter, who is in conjunction with extremely racist lawyer named Jason Lee Van Dyke, released a set of new bylaws for the organization, which provided to the media with members' names and exhibits redacted for public release. Interesting. So yeah, these new bylaws are some more weird Proud Boy stuff with some changes. No punches, no head punches on their weird beat-in ritual where they sock each other while chanting cereal brands. We'll jerk off once a month. And some new rulings on the 4th degree of initiation, which involves getting in a fight on behalf of the club, as we usually achieve during pretty, like, shit-stirring brawls, like the one outside the Metropolitan Republican Club that we covered in New York City last month. Several Proud Boys were arrested, according to contributing again to the leadership chaos. Again, we remembers names. The part about the first Elders chapter, which was supposedly redacted, they made a little bit of a mistake about that, because all they did was they covered it in black highlighter, and all you have to do is you have to log on to the Scribd Proud Boys redacted bylaws adopted 11/25/18. If you scroll down to section, to the Elders chapter, your first Elders chapter, it's highlighted, and apparently all you got to do is, I'm doing it right now. All you got to do is highlight your cursor over this redacted section, and you get Harry Fox, Heath Hare, Enrique Tarrio, Patrick William Roberts, Joshua Hall, Timothy Kelly, Luke Rothling, and Rufio Paman. There's your first Elders chapter, everyone. We all know. Good job redacting, guys. Yeah, they messed that up pretty badly. Anyway, the Elders may have some competition from a few other massive idiots, including the Fraternal Order of the Alt-Knights. So good luck with that. It's another one. So you're gonna have to deal with that. So have fun with that. And in the meantime, the Proud Boys suck, and Gavin McInnes did quit. He left you because it wasn't safe for him to continue on anymore. All right, that's it for us. We will be seeing you tomorrow. So have a great rest of the day, and we'll see you for our Friday show.